Chapter 1. Soulless and penniless. The chill of the Pacific Ocean stings my toes as small waves crash and roll on. Chapter 1. Soulless and penniless. The chill of the Pacific Ocean stings my toes as small waves crash and roll onto the shore. For a moment, the water pools around my feet, and I catch a glimpse of my own muddled, tear-stained reflection. I gasp and then cringe. Who am I looking at? What has happened to me? My eyes are puffy and my cheeks are red and tear-streaked. This is a face that could scare children. People have always told me that I'm attractive, and maybe I still could be if things were different. I hardly look or feel 40 right now, though. More like 60. The last few years have done a number on me, and now my face is gaunt, thin, bony even. My auburn hair hangs around my angular face in matted disarray. God, I look homeless. I can't even make out my turquoise eyes. They blend into the water, create soulless ghosts staring back at me. Ha! Soulless and penniless. My heart pounds in my chest, and I wish the pressure would distract me from the crushing pain of this empty life. But it's useless, nothing can take my mind off this downward spiral. In a desperate attempt to break through this feeling of despair, I try to call forth an image of Jason Momoa, shirtless in Aquaman. Nope. Nothing. I just feel nothing. I shudder, not sure if from the fear of what I'm considering or from the icy waters around my feet. Come on, Lindsay, do it and get it over with. No one will even notice that you're gone. Sucking in a deep breath, I close my eyes. I can do this. I heard that drowning is an excruciating way to go, but that's what this piece of metal in my pocket is for. It will probably be the only backup plan that has ever worked for me. Yes, it'll hurt, but the pain will be far less than living my horrible existence for even one more day. And whose fault is that, Lindsay? Mine. I know it is. I'm here because I allowed myself to fall this far down. Suddenly, memories ebb and flow like waves around my heart. A burning guilt stabs at my stomach and begins to creep upwards. Your fault, Lindsay. My eyes brim with unshed tears, and suddenly, they spill over and stream down my cheeks. Drawing in a deep breath of sweet ocean air, I savor it one last time before exhaling. Then, letting those memories drive me forward, I reach into my pocket and take one small, shaky step forward. 3 months earlier. Before he even opens his mouth, I see it on his face, a new expression. And I know it's over. Shifting uneasily in the chair of our stamp-sized galley kitchen, I wait while he begins pacing. In some ways, I always knew this was coming. Why do I have to be right about the crappy stuff? Why can't I be right about knowing lottery numbers or where to invest my money on the stock market? The room becomes stagnant with silence and impending doom. I've been holding my breath and quickly inhale, snatching in some air. My heart races as I tap my fingernails rhythmically against the slick dye-net surface. He stops pacing and looks at me with that blank look in his eyes. Can you stop that? I stop. But I don't want to stop. Fury rages and fumes inside me, and like a 5-year-old, I want to yell, "You're not the boss of me. I hate you." Lindsay, there's no easy way to say this. He leans against the wall with a sigh, clearly hesitant to take a seat opposite me. I know you've been trying to live your dream in spite of all your failures. But the truth is, you need to stop with this pie-in-the-sky nonsense. You need to come back to reality, get a job, and live a normal life. Unfortunately, that's something I can't do for you, or with you. I stare at him. And despite my precognition, his words sting more than if he'd slapped me across the face. Hello? Anything? He raises his eyebrows. What are you saying? I manage to whisper. What I'm saying is, I know you have some cool ideas, but let's be honest, you're not good at marketing or running a business. You can't play ball with the big boys. You tried and failed again and again. Now you're in debt up to your eyeballs, and your constant stress is dragging me down. Lindsay, I have to be honest with you. I can't love someone as selfish and unrealistic as you are. His words are like little darts, stabbing me, one after the other. So, you don't love me anymore. I barely get the words out. Just last year, this man asked me to spend the rest of my life with him. Who knew the rest of my life, our life, could be outlasted by a sickly hamster or a semi-viral video? He couldn't just stop loving me, could he? We stare at each other for what seems like forever. This is the soul-scorching tart of darkness in hell kind of forever. The answer to my question is scrawled all over his face. I try to speak, but a sob catches in my throat. He sighs heavily in a way that he always does whenever he has big news. I always thought it was cute, but right now, he's killing me. I need you to move out of my house, he says, his brown eyes focused on me. And I know this may seem selfish, but I need the ring back too. It was my grandmother's. I look down at the beautiful diamond and platinum creation circling my finger. The perfect ring. The ring that showed the world I was loved unconditionally through good times and in bad. The ring that held so many promises for the future. Humiliation makes my cheeks burn. Not now. Hold back the tears, stay strong. I slowly slide the ring off of my finger and drift zombie-like toward the counter. My heartbeat thunders in my chest. Each beat reminds me of the things that had gone up in smoke this year: my business, my bank account, my attempts to get backing to start another company. Even my family thinks I'm a tragic failure. And now Charlie does too. Gently, I set the ring on the counter, but somewhere inside of me, a fire ignites and courses through my veins. It takes every ounce of self-control for me not to pounce on him at this very moment. How dignified would that be? Instead, I keep it cool, turning on my heels and strolling out of the kitchen without a word. Yes. I looked cool. Looked is the operative word, but that's good enough. Oh, and the car's in my name, so you're gonna need to leave that here, too, Charlie calls out soberly. The dam holding back my roiling flood of anger cracks and then crumbles. Hot tears rise into my eyes, betraying me. How dare he treat me this way? I needed his support, not this BS. All at once, I turn back to him, disgust creeping into my voice. Anything else, dear? What do you mean? You can keep your freaking house. While you're at it, how about my pride, my dignity, my future, my hopes and my dreams? And don't forget my faith, my love. The ring. The car. How about the clothes on my back? Maybe you can sell them at a consignment shop. What else do you want from me, Charlie? How about my toothbrush? Would you like my floss? I know, you want my Zen coloring book collection. You can have it all. You're being immature about this. I'm being immature. I place a palm to my heaving chest. I'm not the one bailing when things get too inconvenient. I was there for you when you weren't sure which direction to go in your life, but now that it's my turn, you can't handle it. You know what? Forget it. I turn, my nails digging into my palms. Now, wait a minute, Lindsay. That's not true. I whip around and rush up to his face, in spite of myself. No, you wait a minute. Where the heck do you get off making me seem like some wimpy woman incapable of anything? Yes, I've been struggling to make ends meet, but it's not like I haven't been trying. Plus, I've worked my rear off around this house, while you go off to a secure job every day, coming home too tired to hold a conversation with me. I've been taking risks, trying to find new business opportunities while single-handedly holding this house together. He scoffs and shakes his head. Oh, you don't believe me? Who do you think fixed the sink in the master bathroom? Or the garbage disposal when it stopped working? Definitely not you. You wouldn't know an Allen wrench from a monkey wrench. Did I call a plumber and spend hundreds of dollars? No, I watched YouTube videos and poof, fixed it myself. Wow, you're so awesome, Charlie says, folding his arms over his chest. You fixed one sink while I pulled in a full-time household income. Good for you. You, I see, are such a douche. You want the car? The ring. Take them. I pick up the ring and rush over to the kitchen sink. He holds up his hands. Lindsay. Don't. Since you're so awesome at pulling in a household income and can afford to buy another one, I guess you don't need this. I let the ring drop into the garbage disposal and poise my hand on the switch to turn it on. Stop. He shouts, running toward me, eyeballs the size of dinner plates. His face contorts in fury as he realizes what I'm about to do. I grin coldly, spin around, and open the door, ready to walk out in a dramatic blaze of glory. Except as I exit, my toe catches on the uneven threshold that Charlie had promised to fix a dozen times and never had. And I go stumbling out with a muffled oof, like one of the Three Stooges. Perfect, Lindsay. Just perfect. Tears run down my face, unchecked now, as I scurry away. What a mess, and I'd only made it worse with my childish behavior. I could never grind his grandmother's ring in the disposal for real. She, unlike some people, was nice to me. Down the hallway of the building. It's difficult to turn my brain off as it continues to berate me for all of my mistakes. No one will ever take you seriously unless you can play with the big dogs, like Charlie said. Forget it, no one will ever love you. Your ideas are stupid, you're stupid. Shut up, I tell myself. In my heart, I know I'm not worthless, yet my brain tells me otherwise. Always at war with myself. You're a failure, Lindsay. Just like the man at the venture capital firm told me when I pitched my idea for another startup company last month. Just like my mother has told me over and over. The years I spent trying to prove everyone wrong is what I should have thrown down the stupid garbage disposal and shredded into a million worthless pieces. Not the ring. For all the time wasted, I could have flipped that switch a million times. Not that it would have mattered. Because, despite what I'd told Charlie, like everything in my life, the garbage disposal repair was a total failure. 2. The present day. The water grows even colder than a moment ago. I take another step forward. Then another. Shivering, I feel around the inside of my shorts pocket for the warm sliver of metal stashed inside. I'm careful while doing it. Funny how even as I prepare to obliterate my life, my mind still automatically protects me. Suddenly, the air warms with nearby laughter. Turning to shore, I scan down the beach, which is covered in dancing dots of reds, blues, and oranges as the cheerful beachgoers play in their colorful swimsuits. A powerful swell cuts my legs out from under me. Disoriented and downed, I'm pulled into the depths of the ocean water. Briny water fills my nose and mouth as I struggle to the surface, gasping. Holy crap, I almost died. And that is my job, ocean, not yours. My terror-fueled outrage is kind of ludicrous considering my purpose here today. I guess I forgot not to turn my back on the ocean because I was too busy turning my back on life. Another example of Lindsay's failures. Check. The buzz of the chatterback on shore is lost in the gentle breeze. A young man chases a woman down the sand as she shrieks with a glee and lets out a chorus of laughter when he catches up to her. Another stab to the gut. That was Charlie and me once. I've never felt so broken, but I've never hit rock bottom like this before, either. I try to come to grips with the reality of what is about to happen. You're pathetic, you know that? You messed up your life beyond repair, so who's going to trust you now? No one. Ending it is for the best. Pushing back tears, I pull the blade out of my pocket and stare at it. Ever since I was a little girl, I imagined myself a successful businesswoman by now, making the big bucks with the best of them. Yet here I am, lost it all, staring hopelessly at glinting silver in my hand. Not the bling of my dreams, that's for sure. The giggling woman's voice in the distance pulls me back to the present. Her laughter is beautiful but also a waterfall of salt in my bottomless wounds. I allow myself one last moment to look at her, to see what I could have been, should have been, had I done things right. I turn my face to take her in, but the happy couple has disappeared. Better that way. No need to ever see what I will never have. Turning back toward the ocean, a glimmer of light catches my attention. Standing about 30 feet away is a man in his early 60s. The sun reflects off his gold wristwatch. He has brown skin, a neat white beard, and well-groomed salt and pepper hair. He would make for a nice postcard standing on the shore. A picture of gentlemanly perfection in his white linen pants and loose polo shirt, staring out at the peaceful water. He senses me watching him and turns his gaze on me. His eyes are deep, kind, and filled with compassion. A grin splits his face as he twiddles his fingers in my direction. Not today, old man. I am not in the mood to make friends. Still, he keeps his gaze locked on me. Moments silently pass, then minutes. I look away but glance back every so often. He's still staring. Seriously? How can I kill myself with an audience, especially one so bright and cheerful? I focus back on the task at hand and take another step into the ocean. The water level is now up to my thighs. The ocean water is so cold. I'm not sure which is worse, the freezing water or my cold, empty life. I can't stand either. Still, I can feel his eyes burning holes into me. I turn to look. Sure enough, he's watching with a bemused look on his face. What's his problem? Even though I shoot him a heavy frown, he responds with another broad smile. One that touches the corners of his crinkly eyes. My mind spins with rage. Who does this man think he is? I shrug to let him know I am not at all happy about this staring contest. Can't a girl properly end her life without a stranger mocking her for it? Water splashes up as I stomp to the shore with a face full of gritty sand stuck to my cheeks and clinging to my hair. The closer I get to him, the wider he smiles. When I finally emerge onto the sand, my shorts drenched, I stand in front of him, hands on my hips. So what? Today I don't look cover girl perfect? No sin in that. Why are you staring at me? He cocks his head to one side, looking confused. What? You can't mind your own business? I cross my arms, waiting for his answer. He blinks slowly and looks out at the horizon. It's not your time yet. It's not my time yet? What is he, some carnival fortune teller or something? What do you mean? I snap at him, sizing him up. He looks so calm and peaceful, I find it difficult not to hate him for it. Who are you? I'm Arjun, he says in a kindly voice. And you? Lindsay, I say, though I have no idea why I am even talking to this man. Lindsay, he says as if trying the name out on his tongue. Very nice to meet you. I don't believe it is your time to leave this world yet. I sense there is more for you to do here. My mouth swings open. A pretty audacious claim, but is he right? No, this whole thing is ridiculous. He doesn't know anything about me. In fact, my life is none of his business. I take a deep breath to collect myself. What makes you think I was about to end it? I mean, who would try to off themselves at a public beach? In broad daylight? As far as ideas go, it's a pretty dumb one. The smile fades from Arjun's face. He contemplates his answer for a while. I saw the way you looked at the ocean. The way you shook from the fear of uncertainty. I saw the way you looked at that couple on the beach and noticed the sadness you felt watching them. My throat goes tight at his words, but I bluster through. Really? Well, you're making a lot of assumptions for someone who doesn't know me. Was I wrong? He raises an eyebrow. I fold my arms tightly across my body and start moving away. I don't see how it's any of your business. You're right, but you're the one who came to me. I didn't come to you. Well, to be honest, I was a little surprised to see someone smiling at me just as I was about to end my life. Anyway, being so smiley when someone else is so clearly miserable isn't exactly compassionate, is it, mister? Arjun glances down and slides his hands into his pockets. But it worked, didn't it? It stopped you. He looks into my eyes, and I smirk. Arjun lets go a small chuckle and shakes his head. Well, Lindsay, I must say, at least you have a sense of humor going for you. Yeah, well, that's all I have. And right now, it's worth about a stinking penny. I let my arms fall to my side. He looks straight through me. Something about his eyes calms me. Still, I can't help but ask this. What exactly is it that you do, other than distract people during their private, really private moments? He smiles, ignoring my question and shaking his head again. Or you might choose to see that I was giving you a reason to walk back to shore. No one can make anyone do anything. You are in charge of your destiny. Okay, I don't know which mountaintop this Gandhi wannabe fell from. But I am not going to stand here and listen to this nonsense. I start walking away, wishing I'd never whacked over in the first place. Great. Let me go take charge then. Lindsay, Arjun says, weren't we having a conversation because you do not want to end your life? It's true that I want this pain to end, and while I was talking to him, I was at least distracted. Sir, I can't seem to make it any better no matter what I do. You don't understand what it's like. I'm not even good at planning and executing my ending, no pun intended. I mean, coming to the beach during the day and all the people? Just another bad idea. Then make me understand. I have the time. He plops his butt right down on the wet beach. Uff. I'm so horrible at everything, I can't even kill myself right. I pace the stretch of beach in front of him, words bubbling up in uncontrollable waves. I have nothing to live for. My friends and family have all written me off. Life has become one struggle for survival after another. I mean, look at me. I'm a 40-year-old woman. I look 40, right? You were going to say 40 and not a day older? Arjun looks unfazed. I think you look just fine. And it sounds like you have already decided nothing will work for you. What is that supposed to be, some reverse psychology crap? I ask. No, I'm completely serious. You think life has not been fair to you. But you are so young. Who knows what else it holds? His voice is challenging, yet almost naively innocent. First of all, I think you missed the part where I said I was 40. He draws in the sand with his finger. Practically a baby. My life didn't even begin until after 40. So tell me how you got to this point. I sigh. Okay, look, long story short, I was a top-performing software engineer for a successful company. But after some time, I started wondering why I couldn't just start my own company and make all this money myself. I had the industry knowledge and a good-sized nest egg I could dip into. So I started a social media company for conscious entrepreneurs. I didn't know much about hiring or managing people, but I hired a CEO and a few software engineer friends. The best I knew. When the Great Recession hit in 2008, companies couldn't even afford the small monthly subscription fee we charged. It all fell apart. I lost everything I had. The tears well up again and begin streaming down my cheeks. I can't stop crying. Sorry, I mutter as I wipe my face with my dirty shirt. I tried to make a comeback, but my confidence was completely shattered. Still, I pulled myself up and started a company to help small businesses with their technology needs. Bombed at that one, too, even though I tried everything. Now I have no money, nowhere to stay, and the love of my life, my fiancé, Charlie, left me. And I'm 40 years old with nowhere to go. Arjun reaches out a hand and lays it right on my arm. I stare at it for a long moment. I understand what you are going through, Lindsay, and I certainly appreciate the courage you have to start a company. I also appreciate what it is like to be successful at failing at such a young age. He chuckles lightly. Are you laughing at me? I ask with a scowl. Because it's not funny. I just opened up to you, you know. Of course not, he says. I see so much of myself in you. I am not enjoying your failure. But did you know that most successful entrepreneurs in this world have failed when they were starting out? If you are going to fail, fail early in your life rather than later. Nope. I'm not cut out for this. I can't take it anymore. I can't even look at my family. They knew I was going to fail, told me I couldn't pull it off. They even tried to warn me before I started. But I managed to convince my parents and grandparents to lend me money to help keep me going. They were right. God, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I listen to them? Arjun flashes an all-knowing smile. Why do you keep doing that? Can I ask you a question? Despite my mild irritation at his constant smiling, Arjun's calm voice is like a sweet syrup of love and humanity. It's strange, but I feel like I can trust him to some degree, even though I hardly know him. Sure, I finally relent. His eyes light up with joy. Great. Who is the best-looking, most attractive guy on this beach? My mouth drops open. Seriously? Do you need an ego boost today or a compliment or something? Just humor me and answer the question seriously. Arjun insists with both a firmness and urgency that piques my curiosity. Fine. I gesture vaguely down the beach a ways. I guess the guy in the black shorts, over there. He nods and then points to the row of spectacular houses in the distance beyond the beach, perched in their glory overlooking the ocean. And which of those homes do you think is the most beautiful? Tears spring to my eyes again as I recognize the futility of what we're doing. This is silly. Please. I shield my eyes from the sun and scan the row of houses. That house, the one with the blue roof. There. Happy? Yes, very. He smiles. Great. Now can I go kill myself in peace? Lindsay, you didn't even have to look around to find the most handsome man or beautiful house. Love and wealth are two things you desire on a deep level, so you automatically noticed them when you arrived. Am I right? Your mind stored these images as important information that you could easily access. I flip my palms up. I guess so, but that doesn't seem so strange to me. Don't we all want love and money? He nods. Certainly. So, if I were to show you how you can buy a beautiful house like that and have the most amazing love of your life, would you be willing to postpone killing yourself for just 90 more days? I let out a low, pained laugh. Postpone killing myself so I can go chasing mystical unicorns and rainbows again. I think living in a fantasy land is what got me here in the first place. Arjun studies me intently. If unicorns and rainbows is what you want, Lindsay, we can make that happen, too, he says dead serious. Would you choose to live for 90 more days? You sound like a commercial, I said, suddenly feeling desperate to end this conversation. Regaining hope and having my dreams dashed again would surely kill me quicker than the ocean ever could. Do you come with a money-back guarantee too? Or maybe a fancy set of knives that can slice through a can and a tomato? No can. No tomato. But a solemn promise with a get-your-life-back guarantee. Maybe that's just a bit better than just the usual money-back guarantee. Don't you think? I sigh. 90 more painful days on this planet for what? More rejection, failure, and disappointment in the end? Aren't you going to say, but wait. There's more. I ask. Maybe if I make it all into a joke I can stop that little kernel of hope from spreading. Nope. That's all I have to offer. What do you say? I stare at him for a long moment before whispering miserably, I can't. You can't, or you won't? His words echo deep inside of me, despite my fear. And as I turn back to face the sea and begin to march toward it, I can't stop my cascading thoughts. What had happened to my passion? My dreams? What happened to that determined young girl who was once on a mission to live an extraordinary life and change the world? What happened to me? Who have I become? From somewhere inside of me, a tiny voice calls out, I'm still here. Just rub the genie bottle and I'll come out. I stop cold in the sand. Icy water pools all around my feet, dousing the fire and fight from my body and brain. I turn around and search Arjun's eyes. Okay, I'll do it. He walks towards me and wraps me in his arms, hugging me close. I want to say that it feels awkward, that I hate being pressed up against a perfect stranger, but it doesn't. It feels nice. For once, someone cares about me. And for now, is enough. Chapter 2. The Ferrari. When he releases me, there are tears on his shirt and linen pants, but he doesn't seem to care. He gently pulls back and holds out his hand. What? I scrunch my brow in confusion. Arjun nods toward my pocket. Oh, I guess he was watching me from the beginning. I reach cautiously into my pocket and pull out the razor blade, carefully placing it in Arjun's palm. Thank you for believing in yourself. He smiles reassuringly, takes me by the shoulder, and leads me up the beach, away from the water. Can he help me? I honestly have no clue, but I have nothing to lose by letting him try. We walk past beachgoers who frolic and play without a care in the world. Let's get you a dry towel so that we can continue our talk. Yeah, I feel like a stinky wet dog who needs a good shake, I say, cringing. As we reach the edge of the beach and step onto the hot pavement of the parking lot, I shake the sand from between my toes. Arjun leads me across the lot to a beautifully polished Ferrari LaFerrari. Holy shit, Sue. What does this guy do for a living? That's as expensive a Ferrari as there is. As I stand there gawking, he pulls a set of keys from his pocket and disarms the alarm. Suddenly, I'm excited and nervous all at the same time. On one hand, I've always dreamed of having a fancy sports car like this, but on the other, what if I fail again? I don't want to mess up your beautiful car with my wet clothes. Maybe you should run me through the car wash first. Lindsay, it is only a car. Besides, believe it or not, wet and muddy, you are still much more valuable than this car. Jump in. Yes, sir. How did this man make me feel hopeful again in such a short time? Looking around at the shiny dash and fancy interior, I shake my head in disbelief. Never in a million years would I have guessed that my beach adventure would have ended this way. Arjun climbs into the driver's seat beside me and flashes a confident smile. I shrink in my seat, suddenly feeling less than confident once more. Here's this guy who looks like he has it all, but does he really understand the mess I'm in? You never answered my question, I blurt. Which one? His calming voice rings gently as the car rumbles to life. What do you do? I mean, how did you? I fumble for words. He closes his eyes momentarily. Yes, well, are you asking what I do, or how I can do it? Well, I guess both, I admit. Arjun guides the car out of the parking lot. And I wince at the beat-up Honda Fit I'd bought with my last $900 after Charlie invited me to leave sitting in the first space. The old man notices me eyeing my junky car but says nothing. The Ferrari glides smoothly onto the Pacific Coast Highway. Picking up speed, the shoreline zips by in my peripheral vision. It's a beautiful day, and I'm sorry I almost missed this view. I own a few companies and also have consulted as a business growth accelerator for numerous others. His eyes flit to me every few seconds to make sure I'm listening. My businesses have made me wealthy. After years of helping to grow Fortune 500 companies, as well as small businesses, I shifted my focus to teaching entrepreneurs and professionals how to gain freedom from the pitfalls that caused them to fail in the first place. I use what I learned over the years to help them succeed. My mind swirls with a million questions to ask him, but I remain silent. I sense that you are perplexed, Lindsay. There he goes, being Madame Cleo again, reading my mind. Arjun shoots a quick but pointed look in my direction. I believe he's done well for himself. Heck, the car alone is proof of that. But, first of all, he's a man. And secondly, his life seems pretty easy breezy to me. Maybe his companies were well funded. Maybe he has never had to deal with failure or struggle at all. I don't want to alienate my new friend, but I want to be truthful. I clear my throat and shrug. Well, yes, to be honest, you come across like you have a perfect and easy life. Arjun turns the car off the highway and takes a sharp left toward the city. He slows as we melt into the thick jungle of traffic that moves at a slow trickle throughout Los Angeles, no matter the time, day or night. Upscale restaurants and polished marble buildings line the streets. Actually, I have been through quite a lot, he says, and have gone through extreme financial failures in my life. So I do know what you are going through. I look at him in disbelief. Seriously? His car was worth more than any house I've ever lived in. This happened when I lived in India. I was in my final year of engineering college. I was getting ready to go to class, but I didn't have any money, and I mean, not even enough to pay for my bus ticket that day. On the other hand, you arrived at the beach in a car, so right away, you have more than you think you do, Lindsay. He eyes me carefully. I cross my arms. This time, I can't walk off on the beach when Arjun's words strike a nerve. I am cemented in his car, but if I'm being honest with myself, I wouldn't have left anyway. I'm intrigued, to say the least. I had no one to help me. I was alone in the world. I was so depressed because I thought I'd have to drop out. If I couldn't even pay for transportation to school, how would I ever pay for my education? I was ready to give up on school. I just couldn't afford it. I am shocked. All this time, I envisioned that Arjun had come from money. He seems so carefree. He looks at me knowingly and continues. Even back then, I used to talk to homeless people and would give them a little money when I had it. Well, on this particular day, I was visibly upset as I passed by one of the poor people I had talked to before. What happened to you today? He asked me. Usually, you are very happy. I shrugged him off, not wanting to admit my defeat to anyone, but he insisted I tell him why I looked so upset. I pulled myself together and tried to sound confident as I told him, I don't have money for my bus fare to college today. But it's okay. I will find a way, and I started to walk away before he noticed the tears gushing in my eyes. He called after me and handed me an old piece of cloth. Inside were small coins and bills he'd collected. He said, "Take this all," and gave me everything he had. I just lost it right there. I started crying. I told him I only needed 20 rupees. About $0.25 for my bus fare, and I gave him back the rest of his money. I sit in rapt attention, barely noticing the traffic. Now, that man had nothing and yet was radically generous. It inspired me to pick myself up and find a way to make things work in my life even when things were not easy. Specifically to find money no matter what the odds were so that I could finish my college studies. And to recognize that there are worse things that could happen to me. I had to go through many more challenging experiences, but that one was truly a significant, inspiring turning point in my life. Wow, I say, dumbfounded. I had failed too. How many times? I started to silently count my failures on my fingers. Forget it. I'll have to borrow Arjun's fingers and toes too, for that math. But if Arjun was able to pull himself up from that kind of poverty, then why couldn't I? Yes, wow. Lindsay, back then, I tended to brand myself as a complete failure and get frustrated. It took me some time and deep thinking, but I decided on 3 things. 1. 2. I wanted to help other poor kids, like myself, get an education. And 3. I wanted to help those who suffer, and convert that into celebration. I can't even imagine this confident, successful man in front of me as a depressed and penniless kid. Maybe Arjun really does understand. Maybe he can help. The tiny ember of hope inside my chest blossoms into a flame. What happened after that? I whisper, happy to be breathless with anticipation instead of from near drowning. I spent decades of my life trying to figure out financial success. I observed and interviewed and learned from the top 1% of successful people in the world. I dove deeper into neurology and psychology to understand the inner workings of these phenomenal entrepreneurs and world-class professionals. Based on what I have learned and from my own experiences, I uncovered 7 simple but very powerful forces that shape most wildly successful people. I applied these to the businesses I now own. And then I became impassioned to help other entrepreneurs and professionals to do the same. 7 forces. He cracks a huge smile. I call them the accelerators. By now, millions of businesses and professionals around the world have used my system to grow their business, life or career to the next level in a rapidly changing world, he says with such certainty, he almost convinces even me. My curiosity pushes me to the edge of my seat. So, you're telling me you have it all figured out? Not everything, but enough to guide you to be successful in this life. He smiles. Listen, Lindsay, let's be real. In the past, women didn't have the opportunities they have today. Many women with whom I've worked tell me they were not taken seriously as female entrepreneurs. For the last 4 million years, men were the hunter-gatherers. Most women joined the workforce less than 100 years ago. Due to this, the work environment is conditioned and built by men for other men. Quick and impulsive decision-making, aggressive management styles. Most places don't even have a facility for new moms to breastfeed their children. We need a major shift in mindset to adapt to women's aspirations and needs, as well as men's. I didn't want my daughters to grow up in a world where they were deprived of the opportunities that my son had. I wanted to change that and level the playing field for both female and male-run businesses through a new generation philosophy. Sounds good to me. Most importantly, it is time for us to abandon the old philosophy that dictates the ABC of sales, always be closing. I propose the new ABC of persuasion, always be caring. This philosophy has helped me grow a few billion-dollar brands. He just said billion. With a B. I desperately want to believe in Arjun, but all I can hear is Charlie's voice in my head. Enough with this pie-in-the-sky crap. I'd like to shove a pie in his stupid face. But maybe watching him gobble up a huge helping of humble pie served up by yours truly would be even more satisfying. That sounds intriguing, I sigh, trying to take it all in. But I'm sure luck has a lot to do with it too. I can speak from my experience. Today, I am what some consider a lucky person, but my success has been anything but luck. I have created most of all that I dreamed of creating, and I have a fabulous life with my wonderful wife. Both son and daughters have very successful businesses and families of their own now. I am offering the same invitation to you. I listen to the soft timbre of his voice and know that I want to be helped. Lindsay, a few minutes ago, you chose life. Let me ask you a question. What are the reasons why you feel you must succeed in life and business? He stops and holds up the hand. Let me rephrase that. Why do you want to live? What drives you? I think about that for a long moment and stare at him solemnly. I want your Ferrari, Arjun. He chuckles. You can have your own. You remember the story of the tortoise and hare? Oh, come, are we going back to kindergarten now? Steve Jobs said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Have you ever thought about that? Story as an adult. You've heard of that tale as a child, but what does it mean? How does it apply to real life? I have no clue, but something tells me you're going to explain it to me, I say with a half smile. He nods. You would be right. Let me share my version of the story. There once was a hare named Bolton. Bolton? Come on, Arjun, couldn't you go with Bunny, or Harry, or even Peter? Peter is a much better name than Bolton, he says, turning the corner down a winding road. So, Bolton was the swiftest in his country, revered by everybody who knew him. He was the fastest, the best. And he bragged about that fact to anybody who would listen or wasn't fast enough to cover their ears. That rabbit sounded like a real jerk. Charlie, I said emphatically. The bunny should be named Charlie. But if it was named Charlie, I'd have to hate the bunny and I'd want to throw a pie at it. No one likes to hate bunnies. Bunnies are cuddly and... Lindsay, the bunny could be named Kanye if you like, but let's stick to the story, shall we? Arjun said, patient as ever. As it was with many heroes, when Bolton proved his strength, everybody listened. Most cheered him on, caught up in the glory that Bolton promoted in himself. Nobody challenged his authority, and Bolton used his name to intimidate everybody else. In his eyes, he was the fastest and thus the best. But he also wasn't going to let anybody contest this fact. So this went on for a very long time, until one day, Sophie, the tortoise, was completely annoyed by his vanity and challenged him to race her. Everybody laughed, Bolton the loudest. After all, how could a mere tortoise beat a rabbit? On the day of the scheduled race, all the animals in the forest came to watch. The race began. Bolton was barely a visible blur, he ran so fast. In contrast, Sophie plodded along, her heavy shell slowing her progress. I could almost picture myself trudging down the road like a sack of stones with feet while a bunch of slick rabbits in business suits went zipping by me. This is hitting too close to home, Arjun. He nods knowingly but doesn't falter from his storytelling. When the hare was well ahead of Sophie, he stopped to rest. He looked around, nobody was watching. He couldn't hear the cheering of the crowds any longer and knew he was far ahead. What is the big deal if I close my eyes for a minute? That silly tortoise could never beat me. His heart slowing down, Bolton allowed himself to relax and enjoy his well-earned lead. And he slipped into a pleasant nap with the finish line just around the next bend in the forest. I know where this is going. Shush. Bolton slipped into a dream in which he was running toward the finish line. Suddenly, he heard loud cheering. Was it the bankruptcy lawyers collecting his debts? Just drawing some parallels, you know. Arjun shot me a warning look and went on. In his excitement, he jumped up out of his dream to see Sophie approaching the finish line. He dashed to the finish line to great applause, only to see the crowd was wildly lifting a victorious Sophie onto their shoulders. This story sucks for Bolton, but has a great ending for Sophie, doesn't it? Yeah, sure, if you believe in fables and fairy tales. I tried Prince Charming and kissed the frogs, but nada for me. That story has been told a million times, yet I don't hear of anyone's life being changed by it. It certainly never changed mine. Yet Arjun adds, but you know how Sophie, the tortoise, actually won the race, don't you? Sophie got lucky that Bolton fell asleep. Let me explain, and you'll see how this story is part of real life. This story is far more than two animals in a race. It's about the lessons we can learn, and how we can apply them in your own life and business. Sophie was a 40-year-old woman and mother of two beautiful children. A wonderful wife. But she was shy and struggled her entire life to understand herself. Still, she always had great ambitions and the drive to move forward. Bolton was 29 years old and a graduate from University of Oxford. He had all the attributes of a type of personality: intelligent, organized, driven, achievement and task-oriented. He talked fast and always thought about what to say next when someone else was talking. He bragged about his speed and, frankly, his presence was intimidating for Sophie and anyone else. Yeah, you got that right, I think, giving his car's interior another glance. So tell me, Lindsay, what gave Sophie the courage to challenge Bolton? Arjun pauses to let me process his question. I guess she was unrealistic, like me. I flash him a grin. She believed in fairy tales and fables involving animals. Yes, he says to my surprise. Not only was Sophie unrealistic but also optimistic. You will soon learn about the power of optimism and how you can use that to become successful in your career and life. But for now, tell me, who would possibly make such an unrealistic, bold move like challenging that hare to a race? I don't know. Arjun continues. A person with clear goals and compelling reasons to achieve them, that's who. Now let me ask you this, Lindsay, why must you have strong emotional reasons to achieve your goals? Why do you think it is so important for you? I'm starting to feel overwhelmed by his questions, but I do my best to answer. Compelling reasons motivate us to pursue what might seem like impossible goals. Or else we'd never even try. Exactly. Look at Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela, he says. All of them were ordinary people like you, with a few key differences. Why were they so willing to move mountains to make their dreams come true? Arjun's eyes light up as he warms even more to the topic. Their tasks were more challenging and way more unrealistic than Sophie's goal of running with the hare. Gandhi got his country of India to freedom from centuries-long history of captivity from the British Empire, on which the sun never sets. Dr. King had a dream that would require the Herculean task of leading the civil rights movement to overcome centuries of horrific injustice toward the black community in the U.S. If the tasks they had were this insurmountable, then how did each of them get the grit to make a difference and impact people's lives? Yeah, but those people were special, I argue. Born with that X factor, the superhero chromosome. I don't know. But I don't think they were ordinary. Oh, Lindsay, I assure you, they were. But it's compelling reasons that enable ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And each of those people had reasons associated with their goals. He gestures to the glove compartment. Get out a pen and paper and write this down. I do as I'm told and sit with a pen perched over a scrap of paper as I look at him expectantly. The number one accelerator that shapes all successes is this. Accelerator number 1: compelling reasons lead to creative answers. A compelling reason, I try the idea on for size as I scrawl the words on the page. Right now, my compelling reason is to fill my gas tank. That's what's motivating me, Arjun. Not exactly the stuff of greatness, is it? Arjun glances at me. I can tell he knows I'm not convinced. I want to tell you a true story about Mother Teresa. This incident happened during the early stages of her work. As you know, she made it her life's mission to help the poor, the sick, and hungry. One day, she encountered a rich, unkind man. Think Ebenezer Scrooge of Dickens fame. Mother Teresa asked the man for help, and even though he refused, she would not give up, holding her hands out, pleading. In his blind anger, the man spit on Mother Teresa's hand and yelled at her. What an ingrate. Yes, Lindsay. Can you imagine somebody rejecting you and being that hurtful toward you? I have no frame of reference for something so terrible. But I know how bad I'd felt when Charlie had rejected me in my time of need, and that had been bad enough. My eyes well with tears for poor Mother Teresa as Arjun presses on. Many people would have given up. But not this amazing woman called Mother Teresa. She quietly wiped the spit away, and said, I completely accept this gift for me. But what is your gift for my children? Her peaceful response and persistent attitude shocked him. He hung his head in shame and apologized to her, even as she still held a heavenly smile. He immediately gave her the entire contents of his wallet and also become one of her devoted followers. But that's Mother Teresa, not Lindsay Mitchell. There is no difference, Lindsay, if you have compelling reasons pushing you. Now tell me, why did our tortoise, Sophie, win the race? Because she had a compelling reason, I say, hearing a little bit of confidence creeping into my voice. You are right. Sophie was vulnerable and emotional, thus strong. She could easily have felt rejected and quit when Bolton teased her. Sophie has a heavy shell that made it almost impossible for her to move quickly. She could have been paralyzed by her fear of being laughed at when she failed. But instead, she persevered because she had very compelling reasons behind her goals. He skillfully maneuvers the car into a parking space on the street in front of a drugstore and cuts off the engine before facing me. I am going to run inside and pick up a few things. I will only be a minute. Why don't you think about your compelling reasons in life while I am inside? I have complete confidence that you will be able to share them with me when I get back. He flashes me a reassuring smile. Well, I'm glad he has total confidence in me because I sure don't. I feel my forehead wrinkling with distress and rub it with my fingers. Myself to relax while I sit back in my seat. Compelling reasons. As I think on this, I watch the people on the street all shuffling along toward their destinations. Some are dressed in professional attire, but most are casual in their hip, trendy LA style. After a few minutes, Arjun opens the driver's side door and slides into the car. The expensive leather seat squeaks as he reaches over and hands me a shopping bag. A peek inside. Pens, a journal, and a touristy beach towel. I smile at Arjun in gratitude, pull out the towel, and wrap it around my damp legs. We will get some clothes and something to eat soon, but I thought, you might want these now, he says like he's my dad or something. Thank you. I smile. What's the journal for? You will see. The engine roars to life again, and I so want this car. Some people passing by turn to admire it. Or maybe admire Arjun. With my homeless dog, damp, matted, dirty hair, and sand stuck in all the wrong places, I flush for a moment, thinking of what a wreck I must look like. Arjun guides the car smoothly back onto the street, then turns his attention back to me. So, the answer? I sigh. This all feels a bit like lying on Dr. Freud's couch, but I suppose there's no harm in answering his question. I want to show the world that I'm a powerful and wealthy businesswoman, a role model of possibility. I want to fall in love and stay in love for the rest of my life. I want to celebrate life with my friends. There. Tall order, her. Pretty awesome, he says, still driving purposefully. I love your passionate reasons, especially the one of falling in love, staying in love, and celebrating life. It's beautiful and romantic. I can't help but smile. Arjun's joy is a bit infectious. So, dry clothes or food first? What? I ask, thrown off for a moment. Oh, I don't have any money, I finally choke out, cheeks flaming with embarrassment. I've never felt more vulnerable than at this moment. Here's this strange man seeing me at my worst, sad, helpless, and broke. Lindsay, money is only a tool. A tool to achieving what you desire, and one you can use to help others and make the world better, Arjun explains. I eye him skeptically. For a moment, I don't know what to think. Am I his charity case? Does he want to sleep with me? In my despair, the thought hadn't even crossed my mind until now. Arjun glances at me. I must be wearing a wary expression on my face because he meets my discomfort with a gentle smile. You seem uncomfortable, Lindsay. Is there something you want to ask me? I square my shoulders and look him directly in the eyes. What do you want from me? I mean, what do you get out of all this? Do you expect? Arjun catches on to my thoughts and shakes his head with fervor. I have no expectations of you. Eradication of stress and expanding joy in the world is my life's mission. It's my way of paying back the kindness others showed me, Lindsay. That is all. You can choose to accept this help, these lessons, and run your race and win, or you can choose to walk away. Truthfully, it's hard for me to imagine. Most people I have dealt with always wanted something from me. Think of me as a mentor or a coach, he adds. A coach. My coach. I like that. I roll the phrase around in my head. Okay, my coach. I smile at him, feeling even more hopeful. Good. Now that is settled, which is a higher priority for you right now, dry clothes or food? Arjun asks patiently as we wait at a stoplight. My shorts are wet but manageable. I'm still not entirely comfortable with the idea of this stranger buying me clothes, so food seems like an easier place to start. On cue, my stomach grumbles. I'm starving. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday morning. Well, we must remedy that immediately, he exclaims with whooping laughter. Arjun pulls into the left lane and slows to a stop, waiting for a break in traffic. As the cars whiz by on either side of us, I peek up at the cloudless California sky. A sheet of uninterrupted blue. The street is lined with tall, thin palms gently rustling in the breeze. I shiver, realizing that had Arjun not come along, I may not have ever seen another cloudless day. Arjun presses down on the gas pedal, making the engine growl, as we shoot across the street and around the bend. He turns to me. French, Italian, or sushi? Italian, I answer quickly, thinking I could go for pasta. He pulls in front of a cute little Italian cafe with a green, white and red striped canopy stretching over a small outdoor seating area roped off by potted jasmine vines in full bloom. It is a lovely sight. A valet quickly runs up and opens Arjun's door. Arjun climbs out and greets the valet, handing him the keys. I reach for my door handle, but just as I do, the door swings open, and a younger valet pops his head into view and offers me his hand. Ma'am, the valet says. Did he just take a second look at me? He must really be desperate. I take his hand and step out of the car. The street is less busy than the one we were on a few minutes before. Everyone on the sidewalk seems so perfect. I frown, looking down at my damp shorts and wrinkled t-shirt. Someday, I will forget this embarrassing moment, if I'm lucky. I wonder if Arjun is a therapist, as well. Arjun steps up next to me and leans close, whispering in my ear. They are too caught up in their own lives to notice yours, Lindsay. Don't worry, he offers reassuringly. I smile. A perky hostess interrupts the moment. Welcome to Angelini Osteria. Table for two? She chirps. Yes, please, Arjun replies. Very good, right this way. We follow her into the seating area to a small table in the corner where the intoxicating scent of jasmine fills my nostrils and brings back memories of a small village in the south of France I visited with Charlie. When things were good, I think. My eyes swell up with unshed tears. Thankfully, a waiter steps up to the table and snaps a crisp menu, holding it in front of me. And the memories shatter into fragments and float away. I order the lasagna verde, my stomach rumbling as I speak the words to the waiter. Eyeing the sugar packets on the table, I slap myself for even considering eating them right now in front of Arjun. Arjun leans back in his chair, taking a deep, slow breath. Finally, he opens his eyes, fixing his gaze back on me. The waiter brings us our drinks and asks if we would like anything else while we are waiting for our meals. Crackers? Tortilla chips? Anything besides these sugar packets to gnaw on. I know it's Italian, but my stomach is screaming at me. Arjun focuses his intense, kind eyes on me. I can see the excitement building within him. Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to find out what was stopping you from succeeding and kept you in the dark until today? He asks, pausing dramatically. I nod. I've come this far in just one morning. I can't stop now. I don't know where Arjun came from or why I've been listening to a perfect stranger all morning. But something about him. He's connected with me more in a few hours than anyone else has tried to do in the last 3 years. There's no question in my mind. I'm in. Chapter 3. Obstacles are opportunities. After lunch, Arjun and I head to the beach where we park and get out to walk off our meals. Arjun tells me he has a conference call to make and that he will meet me at the Vista Del Mar Park a few blocks away in half an hour. But he leaves me with one task. Imagine you are a 7-year-old at Christmas dreaming without limits. What is something you want to achieve in the next 90 days? Seems so simple, but reducing all my hopes. dreams and wishes down to one single thing without instantly squashing the idea beneath my crushing self-doubt before it even fully forms, is no easy feat. As he drives away, I'm grateful for the time alone to let his question and all those lessons marinate some. I'm going to need a lot of marinade, and a long time to steep in it. Heat penetrates through to my bones as I walk basking in the warmth of the mid-afternoon sun, which I almost didn't feel, had I taken my life. Conversational din and laughter from chattering tourists filters through the sunny air. Absorbing their sounds, I'm unable to place the accents of a few cutting across the street between pedestrians and speeding bikes. I waltz into the small park, a stretch of grassy area lined with large palm trees and a low metal fence facing the ocean. The same ocean I almost ended my life in this morning. Palms on smooth metal. Ouch, ouch, I forgot how hot metal in the sun gets. I quickly hoist myself onto the picnic table. The ocean breeze kicks up my hair. I taste the saltiness in the wind. Looking at the ocean, I feel its vastness and calm. Arjun's words filter into my mind. Imagine you are a 7-year-old at Christmas dreaming without limits. What is something you want to achieve in the next 90 days? What do I want? To win the Powerball? Move to Mars and get away from it all? Travel to the past and invest in Apple Computer? Hey, Arjun did say to let my imagination soar as if I were a little girl. Well, let's see, here's a biggie. I know I don't want to feel depressed and miserable anymore. I don't want to be broke and alone, either. I don't want to be a failure. As for what I do want, I know I want to be happy and successful. But how? I am so rock bottom right now, reaching that goal feels insurmountable. Speaking of bottom, my shorts are finally drying out from the heat on this picnic table as the sun warms my cheeks. I close my eyes. I wish that somehow, all the answers would magically soak into my brain. I don't know how long I'm sitting there when I hear a familiar voice and open my eyes to find Arjun a few feet away, with a wide smile. I have to say, I'm a little jealous of his happiness. Then again, if I were super rich like him, I'd have a smile on my face too. Still, something tells me that Arjun's peace doesn't all come from his financial stability. I want to know how he does it. Suddenly, I feel grateful and lucky and incredibly emotional all at the same time. A surge of tears rises into my eyes, and I blink them away. I don't know why you stopped me this morning. Why you're taking time from your busy schedule for me and my problems. But I'm glad you did. So, thank you. Arjun looks at me straight in the eyes. You are worth my time, Lindsay. I choke the tears back down as Arjun pats my shoulder. We sit in silence for a while, just staring out at the churning waves, listening to the soft whooshing wind through the palm fronds. Did you think about what you want to achieve in the next 3 months? He asks. I shrug, shaking my head. I know I want to get out of debt, but that's like $500,000. $500,000. Talk about the impossible. I'm getting lightheaded just thinking about it. But saying the actual amount hurts more than I realize. I have a huge hole to crawl out of, but for once, I don't feel so hopeless about it. I would love it if I could reduce my debt by $30,000 in the next 3 months. Of course, there's probably no way. I haven't even been able to come up with enough money to rent a tiny apartment. But Arjun told me to dream big, so that's what I'm doing. Lindsay, that is an excellent thought. However, if you focus on avoiding debt as your goal, that is what you are going to grow. How can you rearrange your words so that you're stating something you want to attract instead of something you want to avoid? Also, since your goal is financial, make sure you add how you are going to serve others by earning that. In a business or a career, money is the reward for adding extensive value. The more value you add to the marketplace, the more money you will make. Okay, I say, thinking it through. I want to earn $30,000 in the next 90 days by adding value to small business owners who are part of my social media network. I want to do this using the software development skills I have. I'll help them automate and scale up their business and make more money. Terrific. Arjun nods. You articulated it very well. Thanks. Now, all I have to do is find $30,000 and start my climb up the Himalayas. I grin sheepishly. He chuckles. We will talk about money soon and how to attract true abundance into your life. But for now, take the notepad we bought. Arjun gives me a moment to retrieve my journal and pen from the shopping bag. I examine my cuticles and pick up the tiny grains of sand still lodged there. I muster the courage to continue. Arjun, I have to be honest. A big part of me still tells me I'm good for nothing. This voice has been the serial killer of my dreams for a while now. How do I fix that? Lindsay, first of all, I commend you for the trust you are placing in me. The good news is that the moment you found your compelling reasons, you have started the process of crushing your nagging inner voice. What you have is an inner conflict, he continues. Part of you thinks you need to succeed financially, while another part thinks you are good for nothing. Let us say one person wants to become wealthy, and she works hard every day to reach that goal. At the same time, part of her brain says if she becomes wealthy, she might lose her moral values and become a corrupt person. Do you think a person with inner conflict such as this can become wealthy? Probably not. You're looking at the poster child for inner conflicts. Why? I wanted to be wealthy and successful. I tried hard, but deep down, I think I feel guilty about having excess money. Maybe that's because all the rich people I know are crooks. As a kid, stingy rich people. So, I always told myself, if I ever get to be like them, I don't want to be a bad person and lose my identity. Whoa, hold on. Is it true that all rich people are crooks? He gives me a wide-eyed look. My brain comes to a halt and does an about-face. Well, not you, of course, Arjun. Oh, sure, insult me, then walk it back, why don't you? Arjun says with a wink. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. It's okay. I'm not offended, but I can personally attest to knowing hundreds of people who are wealthy and are the most truthful, trustworthy and giving people on this planet, and nothing like Ebenezer Scrooge. Remember, even old Scrooge had a change of heart. I know. I'm probably just jealous. There are good rich people and bad rich people, just like there are good and bad of any kind, Lindsay. My friend Warren Buffett put it quite well when he said, of the billionaires I have known, money brings out the basic traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they are simply jerks with $1 billion. Morons become rich morons, and kind people become kind rich people. Yes, I get it. I'm sorry for generalizing. My bad. It's okay. But the real question concerns me is your belief about rich people stopping you from becoming wealthy yourself? Arjun pauses, a question in his smile. Well, dang. What other negative assumptions have I made, I wonder? I open my journal. I feel like I'm in school again, and you're Mrs. Myers, my world history teacher, about to start her lecture. Was Mrs. Myers a good-looking older man with salt and pepper hair and an undeniable charisma? Arjun wiggles his eyebrows and gives me his good side. Actually, she was petite and blonde with big bosoms. Good for me. Arjun claps once with a satisfied smile and then continues. What are the 5 words that will describe you at your best? What words do you want others to use to describe you? It can be a word or a phrase. Think about that for a minute and let me know what you come up with, Arjun adds, hopping off the table and walking over to the seawall, leaning against it to gaze out at the sea. What are 5 words that describe me at my best? Passionate, for sure. What else? Kind, maybe. And grateful? I scribble down the first thoughts that come into my brain, writing and writing until my hand begins to ache. When I finish, I feel like my entire soul has purged itself on paper. Arjun knows I'm done, too. He strolls back and casually sits down on the picnic bench. I can tell you were passionate about what you were writing. What did you come up with? He asks gently. I wish my father would have spoken to me the way Arjun does, instead of in his stoic, judgmental manner. I am passionate, kind, loving, caring and grateful. Those are powerful words. Arjun bows his head. And, now, write down the 5 words you would never want to be associated with. These are words or phrases that you are disgusted by. You frantically hate the people with these characteristics. I think about this for a while as Arjun sits silently beside me. Finally, I place pen to paper and begin writing, slowly at first, then the ideas pour out. I am not lazy. I am not weak. I am not untrustworthy or a loser, or insincere, or selfish. I'm not like Scrooge, either. I read aloud. That is 7 already, you want more? I close my journal and drop my head into my hands, suddenly overwhelmed again. Let's work with those. Those are your negative identities or shadows. You believe that you are not weak, not untrustworthy, not insincere, and not selfish. But if you look closely, you will see that the focus of these words is on what you do not want. These are the areas you are resisting the most. What you resist the most persists as your shadows. For example, not selfish, you are giving energy to being something you don't desire to be. Investing energy into protecting yourself from being selfish. Similarly, you are protecting yourself from being untrustworthy. Shadows are the biggest waste of your mental energy. This resistance is the #1 cause of failure in life, career, and business. So how else am I supposed to think of 5 words that don't describe me? But isn't it a good thing that I'm protecting myself from being selfish? I'm confused on this one. I understand. But here, let me ask you another question. Why are you trying to be not selfish? So I can be selfless, I say. Isn't that the point? To be the opposite? But then, why don't you say selfless is one of your identity traits, rather than not selfish? Because you told me to think quickly off the top of my head. Fine, but if you were to say selfless as your identity word instead of selfish as your shadow, how would you feel differently? I might feel more excited about my identity as a giving person. I don't know if I'm on the right track, but again, I think my mind is opening up to new ideas. Is that what you mean? Exactly. What do you think would happen if the entire world chose being selfless as who they are? We'd have a perfect world, I reply with a laugh. That is not true, Lindsay. You will have a lazy and boring world. We can debate that later. But your selfishness is here to serve you, to inspire you to action. If a person doesn't have aspirations to motivate them, how will they progress? Unless and until you stop resisting your selfishness and start embracing it, you will not find your true freedom. Love yourself in spite of your vices. Now, let us look at your shadow identities. Find the one with the highest emotional intensity. Which would you avoid or resist the most? I would say being untrustworthy. I look out across the ocean, feeling a wave of melancholy sweep over me, in contrast to watching the rolling, sparkling blue waves glinting with joyful light. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, when I can't depend on someone. I went through a lot when I was younger, seeing my mom unable to depend on my dad, and I guess that affected me a lot. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that would be what I call your prime shadow, the one that is limiting you the most. Once we integrate this shadow into your identity, you will immediately see the most amazing changes take place in your life. Your strength lies in your gift. Your true identity. Your massive opportunities lie in your weaknesses. Your shadows. Are you ready to tap into those massive opportunities now? I tear my gaze away from the ocean and focus on Arjun's patient smile. I am. That's good to hear, Lindsay. If you listed untrustworthiness as a shadow, it means trust was an important part of your original tribe. Your family. Perhaps you haven't received enough validation from those who are most important to you. This might be why you feel so strongly about untrustworthiness, because they might have told you were untrustworthy. Some people might have gone through trauma, hurt, or abuse that redefined them, but as you didn't mention it, I'm guessing that wasn't the case for you? Unless you consider having my hair cut too short in 6th grade and everyone calling me Larry because I looked like a boy trauma, then no. That's debatable, Arjun says with a smile in his voice. But as I examine my childhood now as an adult, I realize that there were some tough times that really did define me as a person up until now. Seeing my mother do the work of 2 people deeply affected me. She was my mother and my father. Took on both roles since my father couldn't share in the hard responsibilities of raising a child. He was there for the fun, but never the true parenting. In many ways, it was this that had made me a strong woman, back when I was one, at least. Arjun stares at me. Where did you go, Lindsay? Just thinking about why I have a strong association with that word. I don't feel comfortable telling him the rest. Arjun may be a great coach and a wonderful man, but he isn't my shrink. So, you're saying I feel inadequate as a trustworthy person. And that's why I assumed this as a shadow rather than my identity? Precisely. Your mind believes you haven't done things to show trustworthiness. Your mind attaches trustworthiness onto you as a shadow because it is too important for you. You may have done 1,000 things to show that you are trustworthy, but your mind chooses to disregard them. So what can you do to fix that? Go shadow boxing and use some big gloves to eliminate that shadow, I laugh. Or just take the darn thing and shove it down the incinerator. He chuckles but shakes his head. You know, I don't believe in eliminating anything. I want to integrate that shadow to be a coherent part of you. I had a feeling you wouldn't make it easy. Exactly. Arjun stands and leans back against the railing, crossing his legs in front of him. According to Dr. Daniel Siegel, integration is a central organizing principle for how the human mind develops across your lifespan. Integration creates a rhythm in which energy and information are free to flow across your entire self, helping you to be childlike again. I believe integration is the pinnacle of emotional and social intelligence. How do you remember all this stuff? Lindsay, you seem distracted. Yeah, well, I have good reason to be a little distracted today, but I'm trying. Come on, hit me with intelligent stuff again. I cup my ears with my hands. I promise to listen better. He sighs and glances at his watch. I have to remember that I'm not paying him for any of these lessons, and he's a busy man. Though I fully intend to pay him back one day. Arjun continues, tell me 3 instances where you displayed incredible trust to someone or something. Okay, it's time to pull up my big girl panties, even if they are still full of sand. I can do this. I take a deep breath and let it out slowly. With Charlie, my ex-fiancé, I never gave him reason to doubt me. I never cheated or betrayed him. He was the center of my world, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt all the time. Arjun seems to contemplate me a minute before continuing. Excellent. Share another experience where you were completely trustworthy, possibly from your childhood. My parents could trust me from the time I was young. I didn't lie to them, even if the truth might get me in trouble. That was good of you, Lindsay. Now, please share one final one from your business life. Alright. Here's the thing. I was always 100% trustworthy to my business partners, even when I was bleeding money. I have never taken a single penny that didn't belong to me. I may not have been the best businesswoman, but I was extremely trustworthy to my clients. Arjun nods approvingly. Do you see how, even after all these examples of your trustworthiness, you wrote it a negative? I am not untrustworthy, I am trustworthy. Yeah? Why is that? I guess we always see ourselves in a more critical light, Yes, but it is also because you haven't allowed this characteristic to be part of you. All these years, you have been trying to avoid being untrustworthy, but not necessarily be trustworthy. Does that make sense? Sort of. Why am I doing that? Quote. Because your entire relationship network is built on the foundation of the relationship you had with your primary influencers, whether it be your father, mother, or another role model. In your mind, your inner child does not want to be rejected by these figures, even though you are 40 years old. So you either imitate your parents or you become the opposite. But you're not a child anymore. You can own yourself and integrate the trustworthy part of yourself. I'm all for it, Arjun. Let's integrate away. Where do we start? Very well. Take the first example of your trustworthiness and in your imagination bring it closer, bigger and more colorful. What does that mean? It means magnify the experience by really listening to what you heard, really visualizing what you saw, and feeling what you felt. Bring the experience closer and closer to you. Bring it 1 inch away from your nose. Then, step into this experience. Red linoleum tiles shine as a woman leans down on her mop. Her daily apron is tied around her back, and her brown hair is pulled up in a knot. My mom. The worry lines in her face smooth away and she smiles as I set the car keys on the table, 5 minutes before curfew. It had taken a lot for her to let me go to the school dance alone that night, especially since I had just gotten my license, but her trust in me had proven to be merited. She could count on me to honor my commitments. After the first experience, Arjun asks me to do the same for the other two, and I do, really. Visualizing and stepping into those memories. The one with Charlie is particularly difficult because he dumped me even after I was completely devoted to him, and bailed him out many times over. Still, I do it, and I feel stronger because of it. What do you feel now, Lindsay? I hear Arjun's voice cutting through the ocean breezes. It was easier than I thought. I am starting to feel that I am trustworthy. I usually overlook this about myself, but I have to say, I've been a model daughter, boss, and girlfriend in this respect. I really have. I never associated these experiences as part of me being trustworthy. When I deeply connected with those just now, I saw myself in the mirror of trustworthiness. Excellent. Your identity is just a collection of your most cherished memories. When you deeply recollected the memories that demonstrated your trustworthiness, you felt it as your new identity. It will wear off sooner than you think. That is why you need to install this new identity into your psyche permanently. How? I mean, 40 years of thinking a certain way is not easy to change, but I suppose that's why I'm here with Arjun. To try and rewire my brain. By religiously practicing the remembering exercise for 3 minutes for the next 90 days. Showing your brain that you are a heck of a trustworthy person until it becomes ingrained in you. Do it as soon as you wake up and right before going to sleep. So, let's see. All I need to do is remember the 3 instances I was trustworthy and experience it as if it is happening then. And there. That is a same. Can. Lot of imagining to do. I laugh, a low, sardonic chuckle. You do it, Lindsay. It's all about conditioning your mind. You can do the same for all of your shadows, and you will be a better version of yourself starting today. Once you build your empowering identity, you will automatically align yourself to true north. Your identity defines your destiny. Even criminals and sociopaths act in a way that is consistent with who they believe they are. One of the strongest forces in human psychology is to be consistent with their definition about themselves. Their identity. That makes complete sense. Time to build a solid identity. When I was young, I did not have a great role model for business in my community. I admired Peter Drucker a lot as a great business strategist. So early on in my business career, I built this identity for myself. I am the Peter Drucker of business strategies. Hey, I like that. And then I went back and asked myself, what are 5 words that define Peter Drucker? What is the prime question that Peter Drucker would ask on a consistent basis? What values does Peter Drucker have? What beliefs would Peter Drucker have about business? What state of mind would he live in most of the time? That's some serious idolizing, Arjun. It was, and in less than an hour, I had built a new identity. Dang. Dang is right. So, what have I learned here? Like, if you could roll it all into a little ball and present it to me. You've learned that the goal is not for you to become Peter Drucker, but to become the best version of yourself. You can start building upon yourself, spending years and years working on the next version of yourself. Or, you can re-engineer what successful people in your industry have done and build that in less than 1 hour by modeling them. Which one do you prefer? I'm all for less work, Arjun. Remember the 20-80 rule. 20% of the effort creates 80% of the results. He laughs. Precisely. That is your opportunity today. But remember that for your new identity to stick, you need to spend time daily declaring your new identity. Tell me, who could be a great role model for you in business? Billionaire entrepreneur and founder of body shapewear company, Spanx, Sarah Blakely. I am the Sarah Blakely of technology, I exclaim. Not only is she an amazing businesswoman, but on a personal level, her product has saved me from a tragic case of muffin top more than once. Yes, okay, good. And what are the 5 words that describe the one and only Sarah Blakely of technology? Passionate, adventurous, creative, successful, and trustworthy. I don't hesitate a bit. I admire this woman like no other, except my mother. Perfect. These are the words that now describe who you are. Your new version of yourself. Notice you said trustworthy? He winks at me. Now, let me ask you the magic question that will help. You discover your rule for stepping into this new identity. What should happen for the Sarah Blakely of technology to feel successful? If she gives her best to her customers, then she knows she is successful. If she gives more value than she receives, she'll be able to acquire massive wealth. And I'm pretty sure she wears clothes that don't have seaweed and barnacles stick to them, I add with a smile. Okay, Lindsay, let's take this all the way home. Later tonight, sit down and ask yourself the same question for all the words that describe the Sarah Blakely of technology's identity. What should happen for the Sarah Blakely of technology to feel blank? Okay. Roger that, Captain. He playfully swats my arm. Lindsay, you have much humor, passion, and intelligence to offer the world. I can feel my eyes getting watery again and I clear my throat. I'm glad you found me, too. Thanks for believing in me. Now, time for shopping. He announces, glancing back in the direction of the shops. You've been too kind already. It's no problem. Really, I've gotten used to smelling like a mermaid. And it's no problem for me to help you. Besides, my sister tells me there's nothing like some new clothes to make you feel a fresh start. He laughs heartily, that laugh I envy. Smart sister. After another winding ride through the posh LA streets, Arjun finally brings the Ferrari to a halt in front of a beautiful, modern building. A J.C. Penney. I ask, knowing it's anything but Barney's of New York. He smiles back, putting the car in park and pulling up the emergency brake. He may as well have said, you can't afford it land, for that matter. I've heard of the famed Barney's, but my wallet had never granted me access before. Arjun reaches into his pocket and retrieves his wallet, pulling out a handful of $100 bills. Buy what you need. I flush with embarrassment at the wad of cash in my hands. On one hand, I'm too full of pride to take it. On the other, well, he's handing me a bunch of Benjamin Franklin's. He always was my favorite, almost president. I've never felt so pathetic but special at the same time. This man has managed to care enough for a lifetime in just a single day. Go buy yourself the basics, and I will come back and meet you here, out front in 2 hours, okay? Arjun, if you want me to buy basics, Target or Old Navy will suffice. I just don't feel right taking. Lindsay, stop. He takes my hands and shakes them lightly. This is all part of your education. The first step to wealth is to get out of a scarcity mindset. You understand? I nod reluctantly and slink out of the car. He flashes me one last smile before I shut the car door. The little Ferrari drives off down the street. And I'm left standing in front of the store with my new friend Benjamin Franklin. Here goes nothing. Pushing through the large glass doors with beautifully polished brass handles, my breath catches in my throat. So this is how the other half lives. Everything sparkles and smells of big money, but I tell myself to hold my chin up. A few older sales ladies smile at me with slightly raised eyebrows, a la Pretty Woman, but they say nothing. They're no different from you, Lindsay. That's for sure. But it's a hard sell, even to myself, as I feel the grit of sand between my toes. Walking through the store, I catch my reflection in about 10 different mirrors. Besides looking like a sea hag and my hair needing color and a trim, the most noticeable thing about me is my posture. My shoulders sag like a deflated Macy's Day Parade balloon. That's been the hardest part of all this, dealing with being let down. But did life let me down, or did I do that all on my own? If the latter, I need to forgive myself. Today is a new chance to change all that. I mean, it's not every day someone hands you Ben Franklin's to go shopping with. So suck it up, Lindsay. Straighten those shoulders and find something in this store that makes you smile. Retail therapy at its best. A 4-pack of Benjamins, and 90 minutes later, I stroll through the glass doors into the bright sunshine, maybe not a new woman, but at least a better smelling one. I spot Arjun sitting in his car by the curb, eyes closed, smiling at the sun. God, I envy his ability to disconnect and enjoy simple pleasures like that. The shopping bags rustle against my legs as I jog over to his car. A few sharply dressed pedestrians glance at me as they walk by, as though I don't fit in. But I don't give a rat's ass anymore. He looks at me inquisitively. Looks like you found what you needed. Help, yeah? I've been wanting 5-carat diamond earrings my whole life. Thanks, Arjun. He raises an eyebrow at me but doesn't blink. Fine, I wish I'd gotten 5-carat diamond earrings, I say, climbing into the car. Instead, I just got some shirts and pants and undergarments. I was beyond reasonable and trustworthy. Thank you, I said sincerely as I hand him back the remaining cash. Arjun takes it with a smile. It's nice to see you smiling, Lindsay. Yes. Sure, it's just clothes, but for the first time in a long time, I feel more hopeful. Until I remember the diamond ring I had to give back to Charlie. If I had a voodoo doll of him, it would go right into the incinerator, and the disposal would actually work this time. He glances down at the shopping bags by my feet, and a concerned look comes over him. Do you have a place to stay? Well, since I decided against permanent residency in that under-the-ocean condo earlier today. I shake my head, refusing to make eye contact with him. Crashing on my friend Aaron's sofa had been home as of late, but I was staying with a friend. And how are those living arrangements going? I force a smile. Not well. I don't think I can go back. It was causing tension between her and her husband. Has she told you that? He asks, dark eyes full of concern. No, but I overheard them arguing about me last night. He made it pretty clear I'm not welcome. I'm sure that is one reason why you ended up on the beach today, Arjun said gently. He's probably right, though it's a combination of everything. Their argument last night, my feelings of inadequacy, frustration, anger, but mostly, hopelessness. Though I feel much better right now. That's great to hear. Is it because you are focused on the ideas that you are learning? No offense, but it's mostly because the new jeans I got look amazing on me, I say with a laugh. Good, what a few new things can do. But tell me, do you have anywhere else to go? I shake my head. I hadn't thought that far ahead. After all, I'd figured I would be dead by now and real estate wouldn't be exactly a priority. Honestly, I'll probably have to move back in with my parents in Kentucky. They have to take me in, right? God, I feel like such a loser. I begin feeling the weight of failure all over again. Arjun gives me a side glance. You can stop beating yourself up, Lindsay. You may have failed at a few things, but you are not a failure. I rub my forehead, aching from the mental whirlwinds of the afternoon. I wish I could tilt my head to one side and drain all negative thoughts out of my ear. Just like I did with the ocean water. Wouldn't that be nice? I'm trying. Really? It's just so hard. Yes, it is. Change is never easy. But it's going to get better. He pauses to consider something, then continues. I actually have a proposition for you. My company has several apartments in the city we use for traveling consultants. How can this man be so generous and invested in my well-being? I look Arjun dead in the eyes and shake my head vehemently. I can't accept any more from you. You've already given me too much. Lindsay, he says, his voice full of fatherly concern. Maybe that's it. Maybe he sees me as a daughter he wants to help. It's not a gift. You said you're a software engineer. I can certainly use your technology skills on some things over the next few months. And the apartment is temporary. We will need it back for an upcoming project next quarter. You can stay there for the 90 days and work on yourself while also doing some consulting for me in the interim. By the time you leave, you will have rediscovered yourself and will be ready to find your place. If not, then you can go home to your parents. Sound fair to you? I don't know, I'm completely flummoxed is what I am. It was too much to accept. The kitchen is stocked. The apartment is furnished, and there is Wi-Fi and a laptop, so you can keep moving forward with your business. My only other caveat is that if you ever feel despair like this again and are thinking of taking your life, you will call this number. He handed over a piece of paper with the following phone number written on it: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 1-800-273-8255. My throat aches with unshed tears. This is real. Someone is helping me. Real help. Not just pretty words that sound great in theory. I don't even know what to say. This is not a handout, Arjun says, as though he can feel my uncertainty. This is a help up. Remember, a few decades ago, I accepted money from a homeless person. I was in a similar place as you are now. What I am doing for you is paying his kindness forward while also getting something in return through your expertise. Arjun pulls the car over to the curb and puts it in park. Resting his arm across the steering wheel, he leans toward me. Lindsay, you've had a long day, and we have talked about many things. I have work to finish today. The apartment is over there. He points over my shoulder. And the beach is that way, he says, pointing to his left. It's your choice. Where shall I take you? He's not being difficult nor pressuring me, just asking what I want, life or no life. It's going to be a struggle. I still feel pain every time I think of Charlie and all my failures. At least now I have a friend, and that's something. But is it enough? I swallow the dumpling of emotion clogging my throat and meet his unwavering gaze. Mustering up all my courage and strength, I nod. To the beach, please. Arjun's smile wanes, and he looks stricken. You sure about that? Well, yes. It's no Ferrari, but I can't just leave my custom ride on the beach, can I? He shows me the below QR code on his iPad to his complimentary training. It will help me reinforce what I am learning with him. I use my phone's free QR reader app to scan it. I am ready. 9. Chapter 4. My world is upside down. On time for our planned 7 a.m. meeting a few days later, I rang Arjun's doorbell and wait. His house is gorgeous, one of the most spectacular on the beach, but as welcoming and warm as Arjun himself. I'd found the lovely apartment he'd brought me to a few nights before to be the same. Like a warm, safe hug. Once he'd gotten me all settled in and I'd fawned over the awesome accommodations, he'd left me to my devices. Naturally, the first thing I did was fire out that laptop and Google him. It hadn't taken long to find his name on the list of Forbes' wealthiest people, which listed his net worth. And the number had been jaw-dropping. Arjun is a multi-billionaire. And his humble, giving air only makes me realize how wrong I was. That wealth and bad character go hand in hand. On the other side of the door, feet scuffle along tiles, and Arjun opens it. He stands there, smiling mischievously. Good morning. Come on in, Lindsay. How do you feel today? Oh, I see you are free of seaweed and sand, so things are already looking up. Smiling, I volley back, yes, and I'm still alive, which is the icing on the cake. Even better, I have this amazing coach. He's really a life and game changer. So yeah, things are looking up. He turns, leaving the door open so I can enter his home. All settled into the apartment? I nod, closing the door behind me. Yes, thank you. You are welcome. What was the most exciting thing you've done this week so far? Well, let's see. I got that high fashion modeling job I wanted. I made the cover of Forbes magazine, and hey, I won the lottery. I smile, dropping my purse into the chair by the door. Oh, good, then I can send you an invoice for my services. He smiles, showing his perfect white teeth. That will be $2 million, please. I laugh and then shrug. Nothing too exciting happening yet. Except that I started seeing the world differently. I feel like I have a second chance, although I wish things would move a little bit faster. I follow him into the courtyard where he keeps a variety of potted plants and colorful, mosaic planters. Soon, it will. And you've already done some great things on the project I sent you. My project manager is very impressed with your skills so far. His words fill me with pride as he takes a seat in a chair next to a bamboo plant. Have a seat, Lindsay. Can I get you some water or tea? Oh, no thank you. I'm all set. I sit across from him, enjoying the warmth of the afternoon sun on my face. Then, tell me, what do you remember from our conversation last week? Arjun folds his hands in his lap. I let out a slow, deep breath. Mainly, that I need to find compelling reasons to achieve my goals. Very good. What else? The concept of role modeling, I go on, as simple as it sounds, gave me an aha moment. I am the Sarah Blakely of technology. Good. Did you do your assignments? He raises one eyebrow. Yes, I did, I say, my smile wavering a little. You're wondering why I am so adamant about you doing the assignments. He tilts his head and watches me carefully. Is that right, Lindsay? Yes, I admit. I'm a responsible person. I'm not going to mess this up. Of course you're not, but I wanted to check your level of commitment. I'm ready, Arjun. I'm surprised by his more serious tone today. Then again, I know he's pushing my buttons and pushing them hard too. Test me. He smiles, satisfied. I can see that. Now, what did you learn from doing your intelligent actions? More than anything else, I learned the power of momentum, of taking action immediately and generating energy. Finding solid, compelling reasons to achieve my goals helped me redefine what I believed to be possible. Honestly, last night I was starting to feel confident again, you know? Like I used to feel back before, we'll just call it my sand and seaweed free days. Before, what? His eyes narrow. Nothing. I look up. I don't feel like talking about that. Before I forgot how strong I was. Arjun's face lights up like the right words have settled on his heart. It makes me feel more relaxed and receptive. Incredible job, Lindsay. Now let me ask you this. Are you feeling happy today? Okay, let's not get carried away there, I say with a chuckle. So, no to happiness. My Ferrari is in the shop today. My grin fades, and I shake my head. No, Arjun. I mean, I've made some progress, but how could I be happy when my life is still so messed up? Lindsay, happiness is not an outcome. It is a state of mind. No matter what happens in your life, you can give yourself permission to be happy. Look at babies. They are happy all the time, except when they are hungry, in physical pain, or when they need their diaper changed. But adults often unlearn how to be happy, because we focus too much on material pleasure. We ignore happiness. Let me prove it. You said you had some good things happen this week. What did you feel then? Well, I felt happy for like 2 seconds, but I thought you meant in general. But those 2 seconds were gifts to you, correct? I sigh. You know, Arjun, you're starting to make sense right now, and I'm really not cool with that. I laugh, shaking my head. I did have some pretty awesome moments this week, so why wasn't I thinking about them? And that. He reaches for his tea kettle and pours himself a cup. Is how we selectively ignore happiness. See, the key has nothing to do with the Ferrari. His words simmer in my brain. They simmer so long, my brain turns to soup. What you're saying makes perfect sense, in theory, Arjun. My problem is how can I be happy when there are so many problems? He nods fervently. But happiness does not come from external sources. You should enjoy the world's beauty as much as you can, enjoy all it has to offer, including material things. But true happiness comes from within. I try wrapping my head around his idea, but I still have trouble with it. We need a certain amount of money to be comfortable, because let's face it, I don't live in a hut at the top of a mountain. I live in LA. I'm going to need a few things. He sees that I'm having trouble swallowing this concept. He tries again. Lindsay, if somebody owned a Ferrari, and they think the Ferrari is making them happy, they are totally wrong. It is a feeling of significance, of excitement making them happy. You don't need to own anything for this internal feeling. The moment you focus on the Ferrari as a source of your happiness becomes pleasure. Pleasure has an expiration date. Happiness is eternal. That sounds beautiful. It does. But what if you're homeless? What if your air conditioner is broken, and you live in a small apartment? How do you tell someone, just be happy? Isn't that a bit irresponsible and a lot unrealistic? Arjun closes his eyes, a peaceful smile materializing on his face, as though he's been waiting for that question. If you tell yourself that your happiness will come only when you get X, Y, or Z, then no, you'll never be happy. But look at babies. They come into this world with nothing at all, and as long as they are taken care of, they're happy. That is everyone's natural state. Him and these baby comparisons. But the baby still has conditions. I challenge him. He wants to be fed, he wants to be comforted, he wants sleep. Only then is he happy. Have you seen a crying baby, Arjun? It's very unsettling. An adult is no different, except he wants other things.